everyone. I'm Carly Ann with Parsons Entrepreneur Academy. Thank you all for joining us today for our monthly office hour series. Tonight, we are excited to be working with our wonderful partner, Creatively, to bring you this webinar. So here on our platform, we invite successful and inspiring entrepreneurs and leaders to share their stories and the lessons they've learned along the way. For those of you joining us for the first time, Parsons Entrepreneur Academy is a platform that empowers creative entrepreneurs like yourself to build sustainable businesses around your art. And we achieve this through our 3 pillars that include mentoring, training, and community. You can visit parsonsentrepreneur.com to learn more about our platform. So tonight, I am very excited to be joined by 2 esteemed speakers, Stacey Bendet and Jill Manoff. But before I introduce them, I just want to fill you all in on how tonight's format is going to work. So Stacey and Jill will be in conversation for about 40 to 45 minutes, where you'll get to hear all about Stacey's amazing story. Then you will have the opportunity to submit your questions, which you can submit your questions throughout the conversation in the comment section on YouTube Live. And during the last 10 minutes, we will be pulling in a few of those questions for Stacey to answer. All right. So first, I'd like to introduce Stacey Bendet, who is the Chief Executive Officer and Creative Director of Alice and Olivia, a global contemporary fashion and lifestyle brand based in New York City. She is the founder of Creatively, a community of professional creatives, and the co-founder of the #ShareTheMightNow movement, launched in 2020, which was created to help amplify Black women's voices. New York native Miss Bendet founded Alice and Olivia in 2002 with the quest to create the perfect pair of pants. The brand was an immediate success, and shortly after its launch, Theory founder Andrew Rosen joined as a partner. Since then, the company has grown into a full contemporary lifestyle brand, including ready-to-wear, gowns, shoes, handbags, accessories, all while empowering women with a company run by women for women. Additionally, she serves on the board of the Council of Fashion Designers of America. In 2020, Ms. Bendet founded Creatively, a networking platform that helps creatives across all industries achieve their work-life ambitions. Creatively champions and connects the world's creative community through best-in-class portfolios, collaborative features, and opportunities in a world where remote work is the new normal. It is designed by creatives for creatives to be a place to showcase work and connect authentically, and for companies and brands to discover amazing talent. Creatively has the added benefit of Creatively Pay, a feature designed to eliminate the wait times for freelancers to get paid for their services. Full-time CEO and creative director, Ms. Bendet is also a wife and a mother of 3 daughters who makes supporting philanthropic endeavors a priority in her personal and professional activities. She is a member of the board of trustees of Good Plus Foundation, a New York-based foundation that provides essentials for children of families in need. She supports Ronald McDonald House, which aids the families of children suffering from life-threatening illnesses, and is also a member of the board of the J.H. Baker Retailing Center of Wharton School at the University of Pennsylvania, where she is an alumni holding a BA in French and International Relations. And Stacey will be joined in conversation by Jill Manoff, who is the editor-in-chief of Glossy, which explores the transformation of the fashion, luxury, beauty, and retail industries through the lens of digital and technology. She oversees the editorial content and growth strategy of the media brand, launched in May 2016. Manoff joined Glossy from Mode Media, where she was the editor of Glam.com, starting in July 2015. Prior to that, she was the editor of Sayers Style and head copywriter in Sayers Apparel Division. She spent the start of her career in St. Louis as the fashion editor of Alive magazine, the fashion director and co-founder of St. Louis Fashion Week, and a freelance fashion stylist working for brands such as Anheuser-Busch and Colaris. And it's my honor to hand it over to our amazing speakers, Stacey Bendet and Jill Manoff.
Thank you so much.
What an introduction. Let's just get this out of the way. I should know better than to be in all black in a dark basement when talking with Stacey. Hello, you look spectacular. How are you?
Thank you. Tried to go colorful for tonight. I'm good. I'm so happy to be here. Felt like I had a very long bio, but excited to speak to you tonight, and excited to talk to all the Parsons students about Alice and Olivia and creatively and anything else you guys want to talk about.
Right on. You guys are going to have about 15 minutes at the end to ask your own questions, but all about community today. Both of your companies, we can start there with just talking about kind of the overlap between the two, in that there are commonalities. I would say that Alice and Olivia, being a company that's run by women for women creatively, and being a company that's designed by creatives for creatives. Tell me about, I would say, the importance of the company reflecting its audience. Is that intentional? Is that crucial?
It is. I hope that in anything and everything I build, that there's like an authenticity to it. So, I always felt throughout my whole career that in the fashion industry, there were so many men designing for women, and they didn't understand how it felt to put on the clothes we wear, or what we wanted to feel like when we put on those clothes. And it was always my sort of like instinct and belief that women should be designing clothes for women. And that was, a big sort of founding factor in how I started Alice and Olivia. And when I began creatively, it was, and when I started Alice and Olivia, it was really about these items and this aesthetic that I felt like was missing from a woman's closet. When I found it creatively, I felt there was like a void in how companies could find creatives to hire and how creatives could find work. So I think both companies started recognizing that something was missing in what women needed and what creatives needed. And who better to advocate for that than women themselves and creatives themselves?
Right on. Well, let's go back about 20 years when you started Alice and Olivia.
Oh, I
20
feel
years
so old. I can't believe it's been 20 years. I look back and I'm like, what? Yeah, I mean, I started Alice and Olivia when I was 23. And at the time, when you think back, my partner Andrew was really the inventor of what is now the contemporary world of fashion, which in truth is now American fashion, right? But before that, think about what we had, like you had streetwear and, kind of like mass fashion, fast fashion, and then you had designer fashion, and there was very little in between. And so if you were a woman and you needed clothes for work, you had kind of like, like Theory, which was brand new, or like a Zara, or you had like really, kind of designer suits that maybe your mom or your grandma wore, right? And then if you had to go to an event, there were either like fancy gowns or really like, stuff you found at a mall, and there was nothing in between. And when the contemporary business began, it was brands like Theory and even James Purse who started with suits and t-shirts, and it was really more kind of item based. And I was like, well, where's the fun? And when I started, my whole concept was on creating pants that were fun for women to wear each day, because at the time there were all these denim brands and you had Theory kind of suiting, and there was nothing that was expressive. And I always felt that clothes should allow a woman to express who she is and how she feels each day. And when I started, it was just about creating these really funky, fun novelty pants that whenever I would make them for myself and wear them, you'd be stopped on the street by people being like, what are those? Who are those? They made people smile. And to me, that's what fashion is and should be. It should be clothes that make you smile, that uplift, and that make a woman feel like the best version of herself.
I love that. I'm so glad you mentioned the pants because I was going to mention the pants that I have a pair and they're iconic.
Well,
Tell
there
me,
are a lot of fun anniversary pants coming out this year that kind of reflect our original shapes, and just are coming in all kinds of great colors and patterns, which I'm so excited about.
amazing. Cannot wait. So when you out of the gate, I mean, have you always had this bold, brave, I guess, attitude? Did you know when you were interested in fashion and passionate, it was never about going to work for a brand, or did you kind of get your I guess teaching lessons under another brand? You just wanted to do
No,
it, go it
I
alone.
I think that I've always had this sort of entrepreneurial spirit, since I was really, really young. And when I decided I wanted to do something in fashion was not from a traditional background. I hadn't gone to Parsons. I hadn't gone, to I went to Penn, and I spent a semester in Paris, and I was just, sort of by accident immersed in the fashion world there, and just knew that I wanted to do something in the space, but I wanted to do something that was the opposite of so much that existed at the time. And I remember going into like Louis Vuitton to like buy myself a little present before I left Paris, and kind of being treated like a little kid in the store, and being like, this isn't how people should feel when they come in. When people come into a store, they should feel special, they should feel great, and they should feel better when they left. And that was something that always stuck with me when I did begin my own line. But when I started my own line, I wasn't, it wasn't like how I started creatively, where I was like, I'm going to build this giant platform in business. I kind of was like, hey, girls have all these jeans and no one has fun, funky pants, and I'm going to figure this out and make them. It was very naive. It was very, kind of spontaneous. But I also think like inherently that's who I am. Like I'm the kind of person that's just like, I'm gonna figure this out and make something cool, and why not? And that's what I always try to teach both young designers, students, other people, is that, fear is what stops you. Passion is what drives you. And when you allow yourself to be dictated by all the things that are hard or all the things that you can't do, it stops you from all the things that you can do. And I think that's like a big life lesson that I hope I can, teach or share to many.
Yeah, I'm gonna write that down and hang that up. That was so powerful for sure. Tell me about this community that I guess at the beginning maybe it was girls who love great pants and they came together over this love of pants. How has the community evolved? Who are they?
I
Who's this
mean,
girl?
so pants have always been my passion. Like if you can make a pant that has a great fit, you receive this sort of like cultish following for them, right? And my partner Andrew, early on was like, it's one thing to design a cool pant, it's another thing to make a big great pant that fits. And that always stuck with me. And our community has grown, I think, up with us, which is what's so beautiful. And we have this like total mother, daughter, grandmother, even like shopper now. But our community is broad, and it's broad because we're the place women come to, sort of find that like special item or that special piece, whether it's a fun dress or a bright colored suit. I think that women come to us for their like optimism in their closet, right? Like I'm always like, if you want like a boring black something, that's not from us. I mean, we do have like amazing basic pants, but everything we make has a little bit of a flair, a little bit of fun. But it's also something that you're gonna, I hope kind of, I say it's like clothes that make memories. I hope that, I love when women come and tell me that, their favorite pants of ours, or who they met their husband in, or their favorite dress that they wore on their for their rehearsal dinner of their wedding or their engagement party, or I think clothes should be like a memory. And our clothes, I hope, and what I try to do every day, is to make clothes that really feel special and unique.
Yeah. Well, talk about, I guess, engaging that community, fueling that community, keeping her coming back? I mean, first of all, I know that in terms of social media community, I would say, I wouldn't even say the face of the brand. I would say you and the brand are one and the same. Like, is it important that you're out there and connecting with the audience?
I mean, it is. I've struggled with that, honestly, like over the years, because it started off as Instagram was just sort of like my little like pet passion project, because I like taking photos and I like, creating stories, and I like making little quotes as artwork, and it started out as this passion project, and then all of a sudden I was like, wait, like I'm a designer. I never set out to be like an influencer or to be, the face, and sort of consciously, like the face of our brand was always like our, little cartoon, like the Stace face version of me, we call it. And that's on bags and shoes with my glasses and my hair in a bun. And of course, my hair has changed colors multiple times over the year, but the classic Stace has also, we now have like rainbow Stace and global Stace, and it was always like this animated version of me. And then Instagram hit, and all of a sudden it was like, people would stop me on the street, and I, was so kind of confused by that. But at the same time, I think what I've tried to do is also build on social media the same kind of vibe that you get when you feel, you walk into our office or one of our stores, where you feel uplifted and you feel excited about fashion and you feel good about yourself. And I hope that my Instagram does that. I never want to be like one of the people that people are like, oh, like she makes me feel so da da da. Like I want people to go on our Instagram and be like, wow, I needed that today, or that made me feel great, or I just discovered this great outfit that I can't wait to wear for something. So I've tried to make it a mix and not be totally about just pushing product. I try to make it a little bit more about like almost like a glimpse into the world of Alice and Olivia, and that obviously includes me, but it's not exclusive to me. Oops, did we freeze?
Right on. Well, tell me about, oh, we did for a second, but you're back.
Okay.
But in the last, bouncing around a little bit, but we're short on time here. But in terms of the pandemic, I would say the last 2 years, like I heard it time and time again from founders that, having a strong community going in is really like that bolstered the brand, that kept you afloat. That was so important. How would you describe that?
Yeah, I mean, listen, 2020 was a humbling year for retailers. I mean, it was not fun. But I think that we did, like every single time we did something the entire year of 2020 into 2021, I just said, this is a moment that is just as much about doing good things in the world as it is about, selling clothes or staying in business. And we really tried to just strengthen our community. And we did, when I look back, there's a video that I wish I could share, but it kind of showed like all the sort of philanthropic things we did throughout 2020. Like, we were one of the first brands to kind of create masks with a campaign called Masks Together. And we couldn't create medical grade masks, so we created cloth masks. And for everyone we sold, we donated one to hospitals, doctors, communities in need. They were the secondary masks in hundreds of places where, the N95s were going to the first line workers. We raised money for No Kid Hungry. We, just throughout the year, we just tried to do the right thing and to really encourage and engage our community to do the right thing. And looking back, I'm really proud of a lot of the things we did. And I do think that coming out of that, there was a great energy amongst both our community inside the company and our community outside the company, because we'd made some good decisions and we'd helped a lot of people along the way. We gave like surprise boxes to nurses. We, would give gift certificates to doctors. We just kind of did what we could the whole year to try and help a lot of people.
Yeah, you kind of let your true colors shine. I guess let your values shine. Values, everybody.
There was one moment where we, we were speaking to the hospitals and different places being like, what can we do? And at one point we donated 50,000 yards of elastic so NYU could create like their face shields, Another point, like someone in my company was like, hey, do we still have our little fanny packs? Like we were going to do something in the stores with them. And we're like, no, we donated those to all the nurses at like Montefiore, So
She
We
gets
did some
nurses
cool
you've ever
stuff.
seen. That's so nice. That is so nice. Well, I guess in terms of, we talked ahead of this programming that about Fashion Week. Of course, that's usually IRL, and there's a lot of I don't know, worry around that, of course, right now. How important would you say, like in real life or offline connections are to keeping that community fueled and keeping that community connection?
I mean, I think that people are craving community and interaction again. I think right now is a little bit of an, like, I felt like in September we could go big and we did this amazing presentation. To me, February is like a tougher time because you're, just in the height of like sort of flu season, and you're, and everything has to be indoors, and the risks that are associated with doing something inside become, a little too great to do something both socially responsible and successful. But I think that people are, at least up until like maybe late December, people were really so excited to be back together and out and about, and, and living life. I think we've, kind of pulled back a little bit just because of the time of year we're in, and Omicron and everything else. But I think come the spring, the world will feel very, very alive again. And I think we'll finally be through this. I think there's less fear. Like, people might have gotten Omicron, but they weren't really, sick. But I think in terms of brands and coming back, I think that retail and travel and everything will be, really, just sort of exponentially strong, once we kind of get through, I guess, like February.
Yes. Well, let's jump to your second baby, your fifth baby creatively.
I know. Yeah,
In
it is. It's like my fifth baby.
terms
I
of
have
like
three
the
real
white space,
babies.
yes. The white space you saw, getting it off the ground, like start from the beginning. I mean, was it about leveraging your network, tapping into some of, your team or the
When
people
I
around you?
when I decided to build creatively, it was really that it was a period. This was before the pandemic, and it was getting to be so hard to hire creative people. And I one day was sitting at my computer, like, and I was looking at resumes for, I think it was design candidate, and I'm like, I was like, I can't be given a white piece of paper for someone that I'm coming to have make clothes with me. And so then you'd like be on someone's Instagram, and you're like looking at pictures of their kids, their boyfriend, their swimsuit vacation somewhere. And I'm like, and and then like something they made. And I was like, there has to be a more efficient way to do this. And, the amount of time it would take for people to submit portfolios or do a project, I was like, this is so inefficient. And at the same time, you have this proliferation of social media, and like every day the content needs of a brand, and not just a clothing brand, it was like, it's any brand in the world that exists today has this sort of perpetual need to create content. And hiring those people are really hard too, off a white piece of paper resume or a traditional job platform. And so I thought, there's got to be something else that where you just have all creative talent. And researched, and I was like, my teams were like, no, there's nothing. Like, we've tried this. And I said, I think I need to build a job platform for creatives. And of course, everyone was like, oh yeah, you totally need to go build a job platform for creatives. Like, and I was like, no,
You have
like,
nothing
I'm
else to
really
do.
going to build a job platform for creatives because, in my company, here I am as like a mom of three, like living in the city, and I have all these, designers at this point, that one of them lived in Paris and I had her working remotely, and another one was living in Peru, and I was like, work remotely. And then the pandemic hit and everyone was working remotely. And I'm like, people want to be able to live and work wherever they are, and they need to be able to find jobs to wherever they are. And we use Uber for to get places, we use Airbnb to live or vacation wherever we want, but there's no real way for creatives to find jobs all over the world that way. And on the flip side, here I am as a company being like, God, it's so hard to find talent. And so I went to a friend of mine and I said, I want you to shoot this idea down. And he was like, I can't. And he was like, but I'm going to bring in my partner. He'll shoot it down. He shoots everything down. And his partner came in and we sat there for like 3 hours just discussing what this would look like. And from day one, the context was this needs to be built by creatives for creatives. And as much as it is a place for creatives to find jobs, it has to be the most beautiful place for creatives to show their work. Whether you're a student putting your first portfolios online, whether you're a famous photographer wanting to show video and photography and nested albums, we're like, we have to build, the most beautiful gallery an artist could ever imagine and allow them to share their work. They have to be able to move around their photos so they're not obsessing over their grid like on Instagram. We've got to allow them to post high-res images so you don't post and go like, why does that look so blurry? And we need to enable them to have like the best portfolio tools to share their work that we can build. And that's what we started with. And from there, we've grown into this community of, over 250,000 creatives and thousands of brands. And, over the next year, we're launching things like we just keep listening to the creatives. Like when we asked our community, what's the biggest pain point for you in, especially in freelance work, because so much of the community has, kind of turned to freelance work since the pandemic. And it was almost unanimous that people said invoicing and getting paid. So we're launching this year something for and by the way, to all of you who haven't been on Creatively, you have to go on Creatively, sign up, put your portfolios up there. Not only will you find really cool job opportunities, but you will also be so inspired by the amazing creative community that exists there. But we're launching something called Creatively Pay, which to me is such a game changer because I even remember as a young creative doing projects here and there and it taking months to get paid. When you invoice a company using Creatively Pay, you will be paid the same day for your work as they receive the invoice, which is like a game changer versus any of us who have ever done freelance work know it can take months to get paid. So that's where Creatively is right now. I built it out of, I guess, just what I felt like was a real missing need, both for brands and creatives in the world. And by the way, it's not just fashion. I mean, Creatively is for every creative. We have content creators, graphic designers, architects, chefs, musicians. If you are someone whose resume or portfolio does not present itself on a piece of white paper, you belong on Creatively.
I was just going to ask if it was all fashion. Good to know. Good to know.
Lots of fashion brands and and creatives, but no, it's a broad sort of global platform.
Yeah, sounds like. Is the community, I guess, connecting with each other? Is there like an inner community that, or is there maybe a forum there where they're chatting?
Yeah, so we're doing more and more to allow for that. Like, first of all, one of the other first things that we decided early on was that we weren't trying to be Instagram, right? This isn't about likes. It's not about how many people follow you. The algorithm is all based on collaboration. So what we try and encourage is that when you post your work, you tag the people you collaborated with. So if it's a photo shoot, the photographer should also be tagging it, the stylist, the makeup artist, the hair person. So it's really built on a system of collaboration. And we do some really cool things to engage the community. One of my favorites being Creatively Classes, where we offer all sorts of cool classes to the creative community for free. You just sign up and, sometimes there's a wait list because we can only do so many at a time, but, what is an NFT, how to get started in fashion, there's all different topics that appeal to different creatives. And one of the other cool things we've done is some in real life community outreach where we have this Creatively truck that makes surprise visits places and we'll kind of announce it. And, we'll have, we have these Creatively sweatshirts that we make and we'll invite artists from the community to come on the truck and guest star is graffitiing them or painting them. And I mean, the one we did in New York had lines around the block. We had 2,000 people show up. So to me, that's a really, sort of just telltale sign of how passionate our community is.
Yeah, that's amazing. Is there any way other than your passion for both that your two worlds are kind of overlapping or interconnecting in terms of shared community members? Is the Creatively person? Yeah, go ahead.
Totally. So, I mean, I guess a couple examples of that are there have been so many times where I've opened creatively and been like, who's that stylist? Who's that artist? And like had them like do windows for me, or, Blair Z and Mokshini did these, my whole show in September was Come Create With Us, and all the artists were on Creatively. So I'll discover artists there. When I say artists, I mean creative, some designers, some stylists, some artists, and constantly like, well, I hired from there. I'm hiring a director of Metaverse right now, and all of my candidates are from Creatively. So, yeah, I mean, I think
That's
I'm
great.
an avid user of Creatively, but also constantly inspired by Creatively. Like I'll go on and just, you open it and I'm like, oh my God, look at that amazing artist. And, maybe they want to do like window designs for us, or maybe they want to collaborate with us on prints for our next collection. So it's pretty cool.
Oh my gosh, Glossy wants the story about your director of the Metaverse of Metaverse.
Yes,
That's
you've got it. You get the first exclusive.
right on. How are you finding time? I mean, business owner, doubled over, and like you said, a mom. Like, is it about kind of connecting yourself with the right people, building the right teams? I'm sure you're
Yeah,
not getting.
it's
Yeah, I'm sure you're short of sleep, but also, yeah. What else is key?
listen, it's not easy at times. I mean, there are times where I'm like, oh my God, am I being a terrible mom? Am I being a terrible wife? Am I not present here? I try to be present where I am, and I don't always do a good job at that. I probably don't sleep enough. But I think when you love what you do, you're it's like it doesn't feel like a job. It's like your work is your life and your life is your work. And I do try to like include my children in things whenever I can, or if they want to at this, because now they're a little older and have their own opinions about stuff. But I think that just I don't know, like it's who I am. I love to build things, and I love creative projects, and I love working. Um, is it easy to be a mom, but and a working mom and running a company? No, it's not. I'd be lying if I said it was totally easy, especially as I think your kids get there's each phase of parenting, enters their own sort of period of challenges. But I think you do the best you can. And, I think that at this point in my life, I look at myself as doing a good job when I hire people that are better than me. Like, no, I am not the director of Metaverse. I'm like, this is Chinese to me. But like, that's the thing. And then it becomes like exciting, not to be like, oh, I built this, but to be like, I hired someone so amazing. They're going to do this way better than I am. And so that ability to sort of acknowledge when you need to delegate and when you need to become more of the creative director than the person sitting on the floor doing something is, that's part of just growing and expanding and building.
Yeah, I've talked to a lot of folks in the last 2 years about kind of, I don't know, morale or motivation being down a bit, or, having a hard time getting to work. I know for
Yeah.
somebody in the creative field, like you can't just snap and like get to work. Like you have to kind of be inspired. Tell me about, like, I guess, was that challenging? How you've been able to maintain that inspiration, that
I know
creativity?
it's hard because like even now, our teams are not all in, so it kind of like sometimes feels like you're going through the motions of making things. But then there are these moments where you like touch the actual clothing you've made and you see it come to life. And that always gives me, that sort of like uplift and joy.
Yeah, for sure. So if somebody was looking to start a business, um, I guess building a community from the ground up, I mean, is that an early order of business? What suggestions, what pointers, what tips would you have?
Well, I think if you're looking to build a community, whether it's a fashion community or a, platform or creative community, it's really about establishing, your vision and being really clear about what that is, like what are you building and who do you want to join with you? Um, and making sure that I think today more than ever we're like living in this era of like exponential marketing where you have to have a clear vision, a clear message, and and you have to build off of that. I mean, even I guess when I started Alice and Olivia, it was like the quest for the perfect pants, and we only made one item, but if you said Alice and Olivia, everyone was like, I love those pants, right? So I think that whether if you're in fashion and building a brand, really having that item or that signature piece that defines you. If you're building a community and a platform and something more in like the tech space, again, having that, one sentence that defines you.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I guess what's your current challenge, I guess, weighing on your mind? What are you maybe out to, I don't know, conquer or navigate? What's your next next big goal here? You're doing a lot.
I know. I guess, it's not really about I think one of the things I would love to do is that, with Alice and Olivia, I definitely want to there's two things I really want to do this year. One is turning the 20 years of art collaborations we've done. We've always been known for sort of collaborating with artists, whether they're from creatively or, old famous artists but I want to take that concept of our art collaborations, which to me in the past was all about democratizing art in a way that people could not just touch it or see it, but wear it, right? I want to take that into the NFT space so that when we do these collaborations, we are also creating an ongoing income in perpetuity for the artists. And also all of our art collaborations always have a charitable component. So now if we can figure out a way to kind of create this artist community where we're making these beautiful blouses that women wear and are sharing a message with, but also an NFT that gives back for eternity to a charity, I think that would be really cool. So that's my NFT project, which is sort of a little bit of an art collective idea. And then I'd like to try to do something in the beauty space. We've made clothes for all these years, but I feel like the Alice and Olivia woman is so feminine, and she loves to get dressed up and she loves to put makeup on, and that's something I think like to do in my career, and as an expansion of the brand. And then at creatively, I think I just want to see it grow. Like maybe I want to take it public at some point, but I think that my hope for it is that creatives, I hope that every student watching this kind of goes on there and is like, wow, I'm so proud to put my work up here, and I can't wait to look at all these cool jobs that I just found looking through the platform. So I don't have I never have like a monetary goal or anything like that. It's more of I think with creatively that I just want to build something really big and really impactful that creatives appreciate and use.
Yeah, I'm like, hello, no shortage of inspiration, creativity here. Like you have so many ideas for for your next step. I mean, this is amazing. Excited to follow along. Tell me about, I guess, what your shopper, your audience, like what's resonating now in terms of, like you're mentioning NFT metaverse. Like, are they looking for something that's yeah, I guess almost like wow, like something all new, something they've never seen before? Are they bored? But also, or is that kind of a way to tap into an all new audience for you?
I don't think that my audience necessarily is like out there like buying NFTs, but I think that NFTs are a way to create more, like expand your community in the future, right? Like I'm not sure that my customer is quite there where she's like, oh my god, I'm going to buy an NFT and get the blouse, the same blouse. But I think that she might buy the blouse and be surprised that an NFT comes with it, and then be even more surprised and think it's so cool when that NFT comes with all these surprises, right? Yeah. So I think NFTs are evidently a form of marketing, but they're also a way to kind of create a stronger digital community, right? And when you think about the metaverse and what that's going to be one day, I always have this flashback to the first time my kids had like Oculus glasses, and I put them on and I was like, oh my god, I'm going to throw up, but whoa, I really feel like I'm in the desert right now, or whatever world. And I'm like, one day you'll be putting on those glasses and you can walk into a store in Hong Kong, or a boutique in Paris, or a gallery in I don't know, Brazil, and that ability to do that, and the idea that that's like a few years away, and there's so much inspiration there, right? So it's like, what is that going to be like, and what do we need to build to get there, and you know, what are we going to be wearing, and will we be avatars, will we be ourselves, will, you know, I don't know, there's just all this stuff that I think that if we can educate women on now, even if it's really through clothing, it's important. It's going to be important for, you know, our kids might grow up with that, right? It's like, but the, you know, women who are in their 20s, 30s, 40s now are going to have to like learn about all of this.
For sure. Well, we have about 5 more minutes left of our Q&A before the audience can chime in, so be ready, everybody. But I was going to ask, like, because you've done these artist collaborations, it seems like kind of transitioning to this NFT world, like you said, it just feels authentic to your brand, and it doesn't feel out of left field. In the last 2 years, as everything's going more digital, people have their head down on their phone, and they're more active and aware of what's happening on platforms and of what brands are doing and all that jazz. I don't know, almost, do you feel any more pressure or under the microscope, or being questioned maybe more so than you have in the past? Or anyway, do you need to prove yourself as authentic as you see it?
I don't think I feel that much pressure to prove that we're authentic. I think I feel a responsibility to always be authentic. But I don't think that's been new for me. Like, I've always, even with, you know, like we've made a lot of effort in the last couple of years to like have all of our fabrics be chemical free and to, you know, do things in the sustainable space. But you know, I've always been wary of like calling items fully sustainable or fully eco, because it's so hard to track every item, you know, every element, right? So like I'll look at something and I'll be like, okay, but that's recycled, but like, is that really healthy to put that yarn made out of plastic on a woman's body? So, you know, there are things where I think I felt pressure to make change, but also felt pressure not to make claims that couldn't be backed up. And I think like as a brand and as a person, I always just try to make really good decisions. But yeah, I think brands are sometimes in a good way, sometimes in a bad way under a microscope. And you know, you know, there's cancel culture, there's all these things happening that do make you feel pressure at times, for sure. But at the same time, I think that it's like your duty as a leader to be authentic about the things you do. And I just try to make good decisions every day. You know, that's the most you can do, right?
Totally. Well, last question for me. I'm trying to think like maybe like some of the audience. I'm thinking there may be some students in the house, but what do you look for when you hire, in terms of somebody that can, meet your standards, or that you can click with and work with well?
Yeah. I always look for positivity. I want people who are passionate and excited about clothing, but also passionate and excited about life. You know, like I want people that are going to come into the office with a like, let's go, let's do this great attitude every day. Oh, my light went out. I want people that are going to like come into the office and be excited to be there, to be excited to market clothes or make clothes or design clothes. And I think it's really like a positivity that I look for when I'm hiring. And I always say to people, including my children, you know, you're never going to be the best at everything you do, but you can work the hardest. And, you know, and that's what I hope for when I hire people, that they're going to try really hard and work really hard and be team players.
Yes. I lied. I have one more question. Have you bought an NFT?
Have I bought one?
Yeah.
No, I've been researching them like crazy. And I bought coins, and I bought and I've learned how to like trade on Coinbase. But I haven't bought specific NFTs, but I'm working on building them. So I think that mine will be the first one I purchase.
Get it while it's hot. Well, now is the time. It's 1:15. I know we can take some questions from the audience now if you want to chime in. I actually don't know the functionality and how you do that, but I do see the questions as they come up. Okay, here's one. Thank you. Okay, it says, when you're launching a new product, there's an innate fear of failure that I find inhibits the creative process. How do you balance out being creatively free, but making a commercially viable product?
Wow, that is a great question. So we have, this is going to sound a little corporate, but we have merch plans, right? So there's a certain amount of the merch plan that has to be commercially viable. And then there's like the Stace portion of the merch plan where like I get to make whatever I want. And sometimes those items that are whatever I want are like too wild and we end up only making like 100 of them. But a lot of times, like my proudest moments are when those wild items and my favorite items become bestsellers. But you know, in business today, you know, you have to have a fundamental amount of product that is commercially viable, right? And I think sometimes designers, you know, want to just make art. Like if you want to just make art, you should make art. But if you want to have a brand that is, you know, both commercially viable and financially viable, you know, you do have to be willing to make clothes that people are going to buy and wear. So again, I try to think of it almost like a pyramid, right? Like I get to put all the sprinkles on the top and have so much fun with those items, but like I also have to like think of the items that are the bulk of the business as a design challenge too. I want those every season to still be fun and still be like, it might like not be the most exciting piece on the rack, but if you put it on your body, you're like, that's amazing.
Did you, at the beginning, did you lean too far to like commercially viable, too far out there?
I didn't even know what commercially viable meant in them. I mean, I made pants covered in pineapples. I made them like 2000 Swarovski crystals. Like I had to learn that.
Yeah, totally.
But then, you know, it's like at a certain point, I think in your career, like it's one thing to be really excited about, you know, the press you get or the celebrity that wears something or the, you know, beautiful, incredible gown that you think is, you know, the most amazing thing on the planet. But at a certain point, it's also really fun to be like, wow, I'm doing all of this. And like, there are also all of these women that are wearing my clothes and also like, you know, getting to a place where you have enough financial success to like judge yourself on that, which is much more concrete than what people think about your clothes. I mean, I do hope that people love my clothes and are excited about them as I am, but you know, it's a hybrid.
Yeah. Well, until the next question comes in, I'm just going to keep going. Oh, here's one. I really want to start. This is from Alexis. I really want to start my own fashion brand, but I don't know where to start. Is there certain knowledge of experience would I need? Wait, I'm sorry. Is there certain knowledge or experience would I need to take on this dream? Anyway, certain knowledge or certain experience you would recommend?
Yeah, I think that if you are really determined to be an entrepreneur and to start your own brand, the best experience you're going to get is at a smaller brand. So if you, you know, work for a startup or a small design firm, you're going to get a lot more experience and get your hands into everything, which is, you know, probably more valuable than when you're at a really big company and you're really subject to doing one singular job.
Right on. I love it. You were talking about celebrities and real folks wearing your clothes. Have you had like a pinch me moment or like you were obsessed that they were wearing your clothes?
Yeah, I mean, all the time it happens where you're like, oh my God, like so and so is wearing this. And it changes like who you know, I mean, there was a moment where Michelle Obama came out in a full Alice and Olivia look, and I was like, I just died inside. That was amazing.
Oh my God.
You know, there's always those like special moments where, you know, it doesn't matter how long you've been doing what you're doing, but when you see a beautiful, incredibly strong woman in your clothes, you're just like, wow, that's awesome. Oh, share the mic now.
There's another one.
Yeah. You know,
go ahead.
I think share the mic. Someone just asked if there are future plans for share the mic now. I hope so. I think that I was, you know, a founding member of that movement and so proud of what we did, but it got so big and there were kind of spin-offs of it and what we sort of hoped was that people would take the concept of sharing the mic and just sort of pay it forward and do it on their own. And there was a version of it that happened in the UK. And I'd be totally into, work on it again. But the sure, while I was a founding, sort of member of what we did, it was really about the Black women. And as a white woman, I feel like I'm there to like support what they want to do. So if they decide that they want to do another round of it, like I am in to do everything I can to help. It was so exciting and such a powerful moment, and I felt like it really created just some incredibly positive allyship and memories, and and it gave a lot of women some really big platforms to speak on. And it was one of those things in my life where I was like, I can't believe we just pulled this off. Like, we just got Hillary Clinton to just turn over her Instagram to someone to speak on. And like crazy things where you're like, wow, how did that happen? But also it was like this moment where when I would think about it, I would just start to cry, because it was this true example of women supporting women, and women without question standing up and saying, we need to do better, we can do better, and we need to listen right now. So I hope there's more iterations of it, but I also think it's a movement that isn't necessarily about the founders recreating it. It's about the world. Like, I hope that a student here today says, I want to do a share the mic, and and you start your own mission. So it was really about kind of allowing something to build and grow on its own.
Yeah, it definitely took on a great life of its own. Another question, I was hoping we could get more specific pointers on how to grow our community online. I've been working and struggling at that for my emerging brand.
Yeah. It's tough, right? Like, as an emerging brand, if you're not going to do, paid social and other kinds of stuff, it's a combination of, generating press, but also like sometimes expanding and building that community with micro influencers. And influencers can just be your friends and your direct contacts, and, coming up with ways for them to be a part of your community and help share your community. But I know it is hard for smaller brands today to, start to do that. But I think the more you kind of incorporate your immediate community, the more you kind of tag other brands, and just you've got to be like relentless in reaching out to the people you want to support your brand, to just engage them in your community.
The power of a tag. I mean, it says a lot, right?
Power of a tag.
For sure. What does the most successful creatively profile look like in your opinion?
Oh God, that's a hard question. That's a really hard question for me to answer, because like I'll go on there and sometimes I'm just like, I get like lost in the portfolios there. But I like people who make really creative, almost like montages out of their pages. I also love when I see people tagging their collaborators. I think that's a sign of someone who's really doing, working the right way on there. But I don't think there's a simple answer for, what does the most successful profile look like? I think it's about, posting projects that you're proud of. But I will say the ones I'm always the most impressed by are the ones that create these, crazy patterns out of their grids and have these nested albums and incorporate video, and you end up in this like deep dive into someone's like portfolio life.
Oh my gosh, how great. Thank you, Reese. Okay, next question. This is from Danielle. Do you have any tips on how to identify your ideal client and how to communicate with her?
Meaning like a shopper?
I think that's what she means. Kind of a, I don't know, like a model who you're talking to. Like, who do you think of when you design, maybe?
Oh, like my ideal. I guess we communicate with her through, I call it like a 360 network of channels, right? Like, we want to captivate her in stores, with our windows, with our social media, with our email, with our paid social. And I guess my ideal client is someone who's like a loyal customer that shops with us for clothes for all aspects of her life, whether it's her clothes for dinner dates, whether it's her clothes for work, whether it's her clothes to hang out in on the weekend. Like, my ideal client is, wearing Alice and Olivia as her lifestyle brand.
Yeah. And eventually wearing your beauty line, the whole lifestyle.
I know, I need to make black eyeliner.
Yes, that's your hero product. Next up, as a first-time parent, I'm worried about how I can maintain momentum. How did you manage to keep pushing your career and business forward while raising children?
I mean, it wasn't easy, and I'm not going to lie, like I was fortunate enough to have help, but I think it's about balance. The hardest years as a parent, well, I haven't really gotten to the teenage years yet, but the hardest years early on, and what I've worked really hard at Alice and Olivia to do is to enable women to have enough flexibility where during the years where their children aren't in school, they don't leave the workforce. Because when women leave the workforce, when they first have children, at first they're like, oh, it'll be 6 months, and then it's a year, and then it's 2 years, and then they have a second baby, and then it's 4 or 5 years later, and they're like, I don't have a career anymore. So I think that the best advice I can give is power through it. Power through those first couple of years, and then once your kids are in school, you go to work, they go to school, maybe they have an activity, and then you're home. And as a company, what I've tried to do is really advocate for and sort of live by the example of lifestyle balancing. Like, I don't demand meetings at 8 p.m. or 7 a.m. Like, we try to really keep things in like normal hours so that women feel the flexibility to bring their kids to school on their way to work, or be able to, leave early enough to be home for dinner. I feel like if, people need to do some of their work from home at night, that's fine. If you're getting your job done, like, I'm cool with you needing Friday to go to, kindergarten cupcake party or whatever it is. Like, we've really tried to create a flexibility where, it's not all about like where you're able to have both. I want women to have both in their lives. I want them to be able to raise children and have careers. I think one of the other things that I have to add is something that I really wasn't, maybe aware of when I was young, but it doesn't have to be the mom that is always doing all of the parenting. And I think it's so important to establish a system of equality in your household when you have children. It's like, why is it that the dad can be at work until 8 at night, but the mom has to be at school pickup or drop off? Like, establish some equality, establish those boundaries, establish those protocols early on in your relationship, marriage, whatever it is, because when you become a parent, you both become parents. And yes, as a mom, like sometimes, we're the one that give birth, we might be breastfeeding, but you have to establish equality in your household so that you can have as great a shot at a big career as your spouse.
We'll give that a round of applause. We have time for one more question. Wow, this has flown by. It's so fun. How did you come up with the name Alice and Olivia?
So Olivia is my mom. And when I started, I had a partner, and for about 6 months before Andrew came in, and her mom was Alice. And I kind of like had this epiphany that, I was like, your mom is always your first influence in fashion. And my mom always wore these cool, great bell-bottom pants, which was one of the first inspirations for our pants. So it was ode to moms.
Easy as that. Well, I guess we're done. We are out of time. I'm inspired. I hope everybody that was here and attending is as inspired as I am.
Oh, thank you, Jill.
Yeah,
it was great to do this, and I hope everyone enjoyed it.
Thank you so much, guys. I'm going to turn it over.
Okay. Do I sign off now?
Thank you so much, Stacey and Jill, for such an amazing and inspiring conversation. And thank you, everyone, for joining us. Hope you all enjoyed the event tonight. And I'd like to give a special thank you to our wonderful partner, Creatively, for collaborating with us on this awesome event tonight. And I hope everyone will join us for future Parsons Entrepreneur Academy events. Before you tune out, we would like to give you a special offer where you can use the code Creatively. If you look in your comments section, you'll see the code. You can use Creatively on our website to get 50% off of our How to Sell Your Creative Work course. Check out the Creatively platform, and please, thank you again, and join us for future Parsons Entrepreneur Academy events. Thank you again, Stacey and Jill. Bye, everyone.